What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another great week of Voice of the Fans podcast. I'm your man Cam. Got my man, Mr. UW, Mr. Unity, Mr. Euphora, Clevon, Steele. What's going on, Clevon?
Oh, having a great night, Cam. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm having a wonderful night. I have a wonderful night. Washington Wizards welcome some chumps into town and smack them around real quick. And now just the Clippers got to do their thing, kind of finish this off. And,
Sure.
we should, we need to finish the season off strong. We're already in comfortable position, but we just need to finish off strong. Fans, this is your man Cam, as I mentioned. As always, got my man Young Sam, and we make up Voice of the Fans. Today, in this episode, we're gonna discuss the NFL current topics. We got the NFL draft upon us. Got some other topics within the NFL, some trades happening. We got Pete Carroll finally comes to the mic and talks about his relationship. We want to get to that. We got, like I say, we got some draft previews today. We're gonna talk about the top running backs in this draft, and then we're gonna give our top five, or at least I got my top five impact players in the draft. They're going to be non-quarterbacks, but I got my top impact players in this NFL draft that's coming up tomorrow. So we got to get you guys ready for that. We got some NBA topics. We want to know. We're going to discuss this later on. Who's going to meet the Clippers in the NBA Finals? That's one thing we're going to get out there in the air. We're going to kind of clarify that one. Who's going to meet them in the finals? Dr. J has some things to say this week. I don't know if you heard Dr. J. Dr. J has some things to talk about that we're gonna talk about. That we're gonna banner that around. The Celtics. We're gonna talk about the Celtics, man. We're gonna talk about Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year. Get that out there in the open. And then, as always, fans, we're gonna give you some history lessons this week in history. Talk about some things that happened in this world today, and see what your thoughts are. So, Clevon, you ready to do this?
Ready to do this, Cam. Let's get down.
As I mentioned, Clevon, it's week 136 of the Voice of the Fans podcast, April 28th, 2021. It's springtime is here, right? It's spring again, right?
It's here.
Man. So, Clevon, April 28th, we're going to use the number 28, and then week 136, we're going to use the number 36. When you think of the number 28, who come to your mind first, or who wore that number the best?
Well, Cam, the person that comes to mind first is a running back that used to tote the rock here in the 206 for the Seattle Seahawks, a guy named Kurt Warner.
What? He showed us some love to the Northwest?
The juke, the stop, the start-stop was amazing. The person who wore it best, though, was probably the running back for the greatest show on turf, a guy named Marshall Faulk.
Kurt Warner was nice. That hesitation he had, I mean, that hesi step was – there was only a few backs that had that, actually, that really had that little start hesitation. Kurt Warner was really nice out of Penn State. Rookie of the Year, if I remember correctly. Man, him and Ground Chuck, though, that was a match made in heaven, huh? Because he was
absolutely. Unfortunately, injuries kind of, held his career back a little bit. But man, what he gave us his all.
Kurt Warner was nice, and I could say Darryl Green. I can go back. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, you probably don't even know who Jock Robinson is. You probably don't even know who that is. So I can say
I
I'm
don't know who
surprised.
Jock Robinson is. Really, for real. Real.
Yeah. I mean, again, they're looking for your guard card.
Disrespectful for you to say such things.
Down there in Montlake, they're looking for your ID card. They want it back because you don't recognize anybody.
It's in my wallet at every moment. So
yeah, they want it back. Yeah, Jock Robinson, man.
That can't be the first person comes to your mind, though. Come on now.
That was the youngest.
Come on now.
I was a young guy when
I respect Jock.
I was a young guy. I was a young guy. That's all I can say.
And all that he's done for sports as a whole, giving us
He's
his
one of
seed and Nate, but that's
he's
not the
one of the
first person that
first.
comes to mind.
He's not the first. He's one of the first. Let
Man,
me
cut
say
that
that.
out. Man, cut that
Man,
out.
I met him. I met him actually. When I was young, when I first started playing, talking shit. You don't know what you're doing. You don't got no skill. Blah blah blah. And then I kind of find out he's running, toting the rock in the Rose Bowl for the UW. So he was one of the first guys I actually met that was a big time football player. But you're right. The greatest show on turf, Marshall Faulk, quite possibly. I can argue he's the best running back alive. To play the game. I can make that argument. I can legitimately make the argument. Marshall Faulk was the best running back to play. I can make that argument. There's a couple of people who come before him, but I can sit down and actually make that argument that he's one of the best. So yeah, he's actually the first one to come to my mind. And then we think of the number 36, man. That's Slim Pickens, big guy. That's Slim Pickens, man. All I can come up with is Don Newcomb and Jerome Bettis, the bus. Was there anybody else you came up with?
Not with that 3-6, man. I no. That Jerome Worth the best. He's the first person that comes to mind. He has won me thousands of dollars sports book betting. So yes,
Okay.
he's the first
Okay.
person that comes to mind.
Oh, so you went over on how much weight he gained every season. You went over. You always took the over, huh?
I always took the over, but man, he's done me a solid so many times, man. He's always the first person that comes to mind. And fortunately, I got a chance to meet him in Vegas at the Shaq pool party. One of the
Oh
coolest
wow.
dudes you ever meet in your life.
Oh wow. Oh wow. All right. At the pool party, so he didn't have a suit on, huh?
No,
He
he
didn't
was
have a.
real casual that night. Yeah.
That was abnormal. Um, Clevon, this week, man. Let's start off up there in the Northwest, man. Let's start with Pete Carroll. When Pete Carroll gets on the mic, oh, nothing. We were never serious about this. Nothing ever was going to happen. Russell, he's in the playbook, making some changes. He's so deep in the playbook. He's in a good situation. Why are you just now saying this, Pete? Pete, the whole story went on for the last 90 days. Pete, we just now hearing from you. What's up with that? Some of that's kind of sound kind of disingenuous, if I may add.
Well, I'm so glad that Pete finally came to the podium and put all of the rumors to rest. Let everyone know what the status of the relationship between the organization and their franchise quarterback for now and for the future.
Oh, for
Russell
now,
Wilson
exactly right.
is.
I'm glad you said clarify for now. I'm glad you left that up there, right there.
Did you
Let
catch
that
the
for the.
second part? For now and for the future, Russell
Yeah,
Wilson.
we got
I
this
am
season.
so glad that it just takes time, Cam. Sometimes these
Takes time. Because he had
fences
9
aren't mended
years.
right away.
He had
It's
9
simply
years.
that it simply is what it is. Sometimes things get carried away and misconstrued in the media. I mean, I think
Oh boy.
that, Cam.
Oh
Social
boy.
media has a way of getting its hold on some stories and some issues and just kind of running away with it.
So
Fortunately, Coach Carroll was able to reel that back and let everyone know that the relationship between the Seahawks organization and their franchise quarterback Russell Wilson is as good as ever, and
so
hopefully it can continue to be that way.
so the meetings between Sierra and John Snyder were fabricated. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying they were greatly exaggerated what they were about. I mean, maybe they went out and got some Starbucks, got a a macchiato and a scone, and they kind of talked a little bit, and hey, how about this weather? What's your favorite place to go on Puget Sound? That kind of thing. It wasn't quite as volatile as other people in the media were making it out to seem, Cam. But I'm just happy that Pete Carroll was able to address that, and there's no problems moving on. Which seems to be a problem for other people within the media because they wanted all of that drama and intrigue, but unfortunately, it's just not there. And Coach Carroll put a stop to all that. I'm happy that he did.
Well, it's about time, and this probably only lasts. We got 3 months into the season, and then 3 months of the season, so it's probably only another 6 months before things will be circulating again, and we'll see Sierra down there in Miami, like trying to put on a concert or trying to do residency in Vegas or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, okay. There was a big trade, man, went down. We got a couple of trades actually. But we got the draft upon us tomorrow night, as you know, in the NFL. But the Kansas City Chiefs went out and said, oh, Orlando Brown, you're not happy? We got a spot for you, big guy. And the Ravens. So are you more proud of the Chiefs of making this trade or disappointed in the Ravens giving up their premier offensive tackle?
A little bit more disappointed in the Ravens. The premier player at that position is somewhat unique and rare and doesn't grow on trees. So when you have them, you should really, in my opinion, try and make them as happy as seemingly possible, unless the relationship is just irreconcilable. So I thought it was kind of strange that he got traded to the Chiefs, but kudos
He
to the
did say
Chiefs for making
he
that
did say
move, seeing what happened in the Super Bowl and seeing how vulnerable they were on the offensive line to upgrade and improve. Um, that was a win for them.
Orlando Brown did voice his displeasure for being on the Ravens. Said he was looking for greener pastures. Excuse me, looking for greener pastures. However, I think sometimes you got to bring the general manager in. You got to come bring the wifey in, sit down. It's like, what do you guys need? Like, what will it take to keep you happy? You need more crab cakes, or you need a better spot on the what do they call it? Shit, I have a brain fart right now. The water side. They got a little water side there in Baltimore. I have a complete brain fart of what they call it. But you need a better spot. You need a better overlook over the water here. What is it that you need? Because um, Orlando Brown, I'm surprised they let him go. I'm surprised they let him out the door. But nonetheless, the Chiefs, kudos to them. Like they clearly had holes. They didn't. They let their veterans go. So to bring a 25-year-old Brown in and it cost you a first and a 3 and a 5, I think. Kudos to you guys for getting that done. Um, that's the Chiefs kind of making magic there. Kudos to them. Another trade we had was Denver Broncos going to get Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I think it was a good move, first of all, but I don't understand it if they're going to come out today and say he's not our quarterback of the future. Like, why go get him if he's not your quarterback of the future? Um, Without question, he's the best quarterback on the roster. And then if you're still looking to make some move to get into the draft or to move up in the draft and get a quarterback, like that, I don't understand. That I really need to talk to somebody out there in Denver. Um, Kudos to them for making the trade. If you're not your quarterback of the future, why even go get him? I don't understand that. Can you offer some clarity there?
Well, Cam, it is kind of odd because it seems like an insurance policy against making a mistake at the quarterback position. It's like if you don't draft the right guy, he doesn't, come to fruition, then at least you got Teddy Bridgewater. And if your current quarterback is not who you think he is going forward, well, at least you got Teddy Bridgewater. So it's like an insurance policy against who you currently have and a mistake you might potentially make in the draft. At least you have some type of stability. But when you come out and you say, well, this is not our guy for the future, and you're not really even saying he's your guy for the present, you're just saying it gives you stability at the position and competition. So it's not a ringing endorsement for anybody, but at the same time, Teddy's like, okay, well, 10 mil. I mean, I'll go there and see what happens. I mean, that's all he can do. But John Elway, having played the position at a very high level, at the highest level he can play it at, should know better than to try and kind of be wishy-washy at that position. It just won't work ultimately. So not quite sure what direction that they're going in, and from the trade and the way that they're kind of going about their business, they don't really know what direction that they're going. So
Yeah, I was surprised. Although, Elway's kind of turned over the reins to some general manager we never heard of. But I'm very surprised at this move because, like I say, if he's not going to be your guy, like why do you bring him in to just say, okay, you can compete? Because without question, he's the best quarterback on your roster. I just don't understand it. And then I didn't understand it even further um, when it was said that they may still go out and get a quarterback. So it's like, come on, guys, what's really going on here? But nonetheless, the Broncos did make a move, and so when I initially heard the question or heard about this trade, it brought up the question: who's going to have a better season, Bridgewater or Darnold? Who would you? And but since Bridgewater wasn't given the reins to the spot, like that's really kind of an unfair question. But let's say that Bridgewater is the starter and he ends up starting this season, regardless if they draft somebody or not. Who would you expect to have a better season, Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Darnold?
I would expect Sam Darnold to have a better season
Wow.
if Christian Jackson McCaffrey is healthy for the entire season. I don't feel like the Denver Broncos with Melvin Gordon has a sustainable running game, and we all know what Christian Jackson McCaffrey can do.
Philip Lindsay.
He's not there anymore. No, they parted ways with him.
Am I missing that? Where'd he go? Where'd he end up?
I forgot exactly where he went, but they said, "Hey, he was not part of the future, and best of luck to you." Philip Lindsay is no longer a Denver Bronco.
Oh, well, let me go ahead and check that out. So you say as long as old boy stay healthy, you got Sam Darnold.
I have Sam Darnold having a better season. I'm not quite sure how many opportunities Teddy Bridgewater is going to have. Of course, when you have Teddy Bridgewater standing on the sideline, your margin for error is not that great. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, and we'll see what they do in the draft. But considering that their defense is not what it was, Von Miller is not who he was, their running game is not tremendous. And the Carolina Panthers are implementing kind of a new culture over there with the former Baylor head coach, and we'll see what that up-tempo offense can do.
Wow, that's shocking. Did he end up in Texas? Is he a Houston Texan?
Quite possibly the Texans. That sounds familiar. He went somewhere that needed him, where he could be appreciated and wanted. I know he's a Colorado native and was very proud to be playing for the Broncos, but no more.
That might be the best back they had in their franchise history. Oh no, they did have old boy who had a good season.
Sammy Winder, you're talking about?
No, not Sammy Winder. As a Houston Texan?
I'm sorry, Houston Texans. Oh, is he the best back in the Houston Texans franchise?
Yeah, no, they had the guy who went to Arizona, who they traded Nuke from. The guy who had a bad wrist injury. He went to Arizona last year. They just traded him for the
David
receiver.
Johnson you're referring to.
David Johnson, yeah. Or David Johnson, or who was the other old guy, the vegan running back? David Johnson or the vegan?
Arian Foster is by far the franchise's best running back.
Yeah.
Arian Foster had some Pro Bowl years. He was,
I think he had two. I think he had two Pro Bowl years.
Okay, well, he had two.
That is plural.
And he got them to the playoffs 2 times. So yeah, I like.
Okay, so I guess he's not quite. He's one of the better backs that they would have had. Philip Lindsay. What do you think about AB re-signing with the defending champs?
I think it's great for everybody. I was hearing some rumors that Russell Wilson was interested in him being at the Seahawks. Was man, I was not feeling good about it. So I am so glad that someone is taking the opportunity to sign him, and man, it's not something we have to worry about anymore.
Well, fans, I just want to let you guys know that I
want that temptation. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, fans. I'm looking at our sticky notes, our running sticky notes tab, and somebody says, even though they bring it back all 22 of their starters, the defending champs will not make the playoffs. Just want to sit on that one and
stand by that.
And we'll see how that works out.
Stand by that. Yes.
So, Clevon, I want your feedback on this. And fans, go check out the article on OGNSC.com. We had a sit down last week with the general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers last week. So I knew going into the interview or going into the conference, like a week ahead of the draft, he wasn't really going to share a whole lot, right? He was going to talk in circles. It was a great opportunity. Don't get me wrong, but I just knew a week before the draft, like how much is he really going to say about what they're targeting, how they look at things, and so you kind of had to get creative with the questioning. One of the things that came up was the players that sat out last season for it was COVID that we had several players sit out. Jamar Chase is one of them. Penei Sewell was another. Like, how do you envision? How does the general manager and the coaching staff, when you're evaluating talent, and you have a player that did sit out, how does that look upon you? And you're gonna have to. He said a lot of things, and he went in depth, but for the most part, as he said, he's not going to hold that against him. You know, if he had a high score on them before last season and they sat out for COVID reasons, like that's a personal choice, and you're not going to hold them accountable for making a personal choice. We'll be able to find out if they love football or not. But my thing is, Clevon, if you love football, aren't you going to play football? That's kind of my novice brain moving around. It's like, if you love the game, like you can't let a season go by without not playing, can you? Sure enough, they did, and you know, I understand you don't want to hold anybody accountable because for their reasoning, but it would just be a not quite a red flag. It would definitely be something we have to address in our one-on-one sit downs, right? In our meetings, in our Zoom calls. Like that's a question I need you a clear answer to. Why did you really decide to sit out, and how did you feel about sitting out? What's your thoughts on that? Am I being too sensitive on that topic, or what's your thoughts on that?
You have a little bit of tunnel vision going on, Cam. As we addressed last week, we had a little bit of issue with Trevor Lawrence, putting kind of some other things above football and having some other passions and some other, things that he was involved in and enjoyed doing. And, it kind of created kind of this environment wherein it seemed like football may not be his number one priority. In the case of the other two aforementioned players that you're talking about, what they were doing was making the best decision for them financially going forward and for their career. There's just no reason from where they were standing, because they were clearly the number one player at their position going into the season. Why would you go interject yourself into an environment that is so uncertain? You don't know what can happen to you. You can end up playing in a 7-game season, get hurt, your stock, takes a precipitous drop as to, where it is at present. And that final year is something that you do because you have to do it. There are rules implemented that says you have to be at, college for 3 years before you can go pro. So I think they both made wise decisions. I think they both used the time, to make themselves better. I don't think it really relates to their passion for the game. I think it relates more to them protecting their brand and their body and themselves as a commodity going forward. I'm a businessman. So that's what they were trying to do, and that's what they were able to accomplish, and they will both be top 5 picks. So I don't think in the overall scheme of things, I don't think it
I don't know
hurt the
about them
brand.
both. In fact, I can question that.
They will
Either
both be
one of
top.
them.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Let me take it down to double digits. They will both be top 10 picks.
Yeah, thank you.
If they're not, whoever's not picked them in the top 10 will forever regret it.
Yeah, top 10. Yeah, I don't think either one of them going in the top 5. But that's still Clevon. So you said they're protecting their brand. Here we are. You're in college. You're not even professionals yet, and you're protecting your brand. So should Davion Clowney have set out his senior season or his junior year protecting his brand?
There was no pandemic sweeping the globe when Davion Clowney was a senior. So That's a completely irrelevant type of scenario.
It's not. It's not because you use protecting your brand.
Whatever other scenario that you're talking about does not include a pandemic that is sweeping the globe. We have no other example of that.
Again, I would have to. That would be question number 2 on my board. Outside of how was the weather or how was the drive getting to the facility? That's number 2. Is like, what's the logic behind sitting out? Because if you have that passion for the game, how could you sit out? That's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. And you talking about when you talk about jeopardizing your draft spot, your opportunity, your future. Like, what happens when it's week 10 and we're 5-5 and we're on the backside of a blowout here? Are you going to want to sit out and because you want to get better for next season? Like, or you want to take a rest because you don't like the way
is there a pandemic going on at the same time? Cam, you got a slight cough and you don't really feel good, slight fever.
I mean, you want to keep using the pandemic situation. I think there was like 600.
Is there a situation where you're going into an organization and you have no idea what their protocols are and what they're going to be able to do to protect the players?
Well,
is it that same kind of scenario, or is it the NFL that you're talking about?
I'm talking about
with all of those things in place, because the SEC didn't have all of those things in place. The Pac-12 certainly didn't have all of those things in place. The NFL has all of those things in place.
The SEC said we're playing football and we're going to have fans in the stands. So
they said that 2 weeks after the pandemic was at its highest, rates ever.
The SEC said no, damn that. We got football. We got football games.
Yeah. Whatever happens, I don't care if you look up and grab a puff of air and fall down and we'll just get somebody else.
Hey, the SEC said we're playing football. Yeah. So no, what I'm saying is a situation where now we come in when our backs are against the wall as a team again,
and we're questioning their motivation for what they want to play based on the fact that they sat out of a pandemic. That's not the same.
I am. Yes, I am. You're right. I am.
Yeah. You should not hold them at fault for that. What is the benefit of being the number one receiver going into a season with a pandemic going out there and getting COVID, and then 4 games later coming back from having COVID and getting hurt and falling to the second round? What is the benefit of that?
So every player
because of your love of the game? No. So you just cost yourself like $20 million.
So you're giving the COVID excuse for any player that wanted to sit out.
COVID excuse? Is that what you're calling it now?
The COVID, 685 players played. 685 other players decided, yes, I love the game enough. I'm suiting up.
And how many of them were top 5 picks?
Well, there's 5. There are 5 players that's going to get drafted above.
So you're only talking about 5
that actually played
potentially
the game.
Of the 660 that you're talking about. And I don't even know where you're getting that number, because that number sounds extremely low. There was thousands of players that played college football.
Even better. I was being modest.
But them not playing college football, it has nothing to do with them not having a passion for the game. Those are not mutually.
I need some convincing. That's all I'm saying. I need some convincing on that matter. And that would be just
Parcells. I'm sorry they're not all night,
hey,
playing Madden and running through plays, in their sleep.
The play bus.
The pandemic going on, and they're a top 5 pick.
They don't have.
They made a wise business decision, and I don't condone either one of them for doing what they did.
Again, when I go into the next season, their rookie season, and it's week 11. Our team is 5-5. It's rainy. It's cold. They're in Philadelphia. We're down by 12 points. Are they giving it their all to continue to play, or are they going to say, "Man, let me stay on the sideline. I got an ankle injury. Let me get to the locker room," because they don't want to be in the cold, in the rain and sleet out there, giving it their all, trying to get a W. That's what I question. And by them
Okay, well,
sitting out,
Cam, here's two reasons you shouldn't question that. Because one, they've reached their ultimate goal, which is the National Football League.
exactly.
Number one, and number
Another reason,
two,
right? Another reason. So now they
they're
made
not.
it all.
They're just
They
the
got
decision
paid.
making shouldn't be regarding whether they're going to live or die, and what their health situation could potentially be playing in the game.
I don't. I understand. Well, let me say, I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm just thinking about what happens on game day, week 11, week 12, when we really need you to dig deep, and
But
you're
Cam,
telling
nothing
me,
happens. You're questioning their ability to dig deep because they sat
yeah,
out of a pandemic and
yeah,
they were
exactly.
top 5 picks. You're questioning their passion for the game because of that, and that's completely wrong.
Well, they were top 5 picks prior to, so you keep bringing that up, like that didn't change.
Prior to what? Prior to the pandemic? Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so you bring that up as if that
So
makes
playing
a
through the
difference.
pandemic clearly jeopardizes that.
Playing for the
Their
pandemic.
health,
So okay,
the way the
so
schedule
why?
is laying out. I
Tell me
mean,
this.
what is
Tell
it
me
that you're
this.
talking about?
So tell me this. Najee, did you hear the story? Najee Harris drive from Atlanta to Alabama to support his players during their pro days. Did you hear this story? He
No.
missed the flight, got delayed, canceled, or would have you. He had 9 hours to get there. He go rents a car, gets 9 hours, gets in the car, driving 9 hours through the storm to go not practice. Najee Harris is gonna be the first running back drafted. We'd agree on that. He's he's rushing to get to Alabama pro day just to support his teammates, just to show them I'm in the house, I got your back. He went through 9 hours of sleet and storm from Alabama or from Atlanta to Alabama just to support his teammates. That's a commitment. That's the type of team player or guy I want on my squad versus a guy who says, this pandemic, I could get healthy, I could get sick, I may not get sick. I don't want to take the chance of risking my future or getting sick. I'm gonna sit out the season. I want somebody who's going to be in the foxhole with you come hell or high water, come pandemic or not. That's the type of team. That's the type of teammate I like to play for. That's the type of player I want on my team. That's what I'm saying. So the fact that there were number one draft picks or the top 5, top 10 prospects last season, fantastic. Come back and show us how good you are. Dominate this league like Devontae Smith did. Dominate this league, dominate college football, and prove that regardless, you're going to overcome any obstacle to be the best you can be. That's all I'm saying. That's
Okay,
all.
well, I certainly hope the Miami Dolphins don't end up with Chase Ursula. And from the way you're talking, I know you hope they don't end up with either of those players either.
We're going to have this
Those
conversation.
cats just don't want to play.
In fact,
and you're questioning their motivation, and their heart. I mean, I hope neither one of those players ends up with the Miami Dolphins.
So check this out. My next question, Clevon, is how the Dolphins going to screw up this draft. We got the number 6 pick.
Well.
We got the number
Hopefully,
6.
it's not by drafting Chase Sewell. I hope they don't screw it up like that.
Oh my
I hope
goodness!
they do the right thing and go with Smith that played all the games and won a Heisman. I hope they go that route. Because who wants somebody that's going to sit out when there's a pandemic going around the planet?
Check it. So check it. Oh man, this is tough. I hate to even speak it in the air, but I got to be honest with you. We want Jamar Chase. Actually, I'm hoping. Let's kind of give our mock draft to at least as number 6. We know Lawrence is going to Jacksonville. Wilson, we understand, is going to the Jets, which I think is a great pick for the Jets. I think it's a great pick. You get this project who, by the time he's ready to be any good, he's going to be so beat down by the Jets that he's not going to be any good. I love it. Number 3, I think the Niners are going to draft the quarterback out of Alabama. We know he's not exciting. We know he doesn't have the second gear, the mobility to get out of trouble. He's a pocket passer. And I told you before, He's on the realm. I'm not saying he's Kirk Cousins, but he's in that Kirk Cousins mode. Game manager, makes the throws, and he's just a steady Eddie game manager. That's what he is. And that's going to help them out. They run the ball a lot anyway. They run the ball, play good defense, couple passes here and there that you're going to ask him to make, and apparently he can make the throws. So Mac Brown, that's who I think they're going with. Number 4, I hope the Atlanta Falcons take Pitts. I'm really hoping that they take Pitts. Don't dick around, and Matt Ryan has a couple more years left. Even though they want to trade him, have you guys picked up the phone to call Julio Jones? Have you guys made that call yet?
No, we're okay. We're okay at wide receiver. Thanks for asking.
You okay at wide receiver?
Committed to the running game, and
you can't
don't need the Ferrari.
That's why Russell wants out of there. That's why Russell wants out of there. Could you imagine now you got 2 big tall receivers and the little scat receiver and Rocket Lockett? Can you imagine that offense would let Russell cook? Oh no, you can't because you don't want to use Russell. No, you can't. You don't want to because you don't want Russell to do his thing.
I'm sorry, Julio Jones not on the radar. It doesn't. You don't
want Russell to do his thing. That's the problem that's why Russell wants to get out of town because you guys don't want to let Russell cook.
As you heard Pete Carroll say earlier, Russell Wilson is just fine here in Seattle. Thanks so much for asking.
But Julio would. That's kind of surprising that Julio they even talk about moving him. But they got Julio, they got Ridley, and then you put the guy in the middle. I mean, that offense is wide open again. So I hope they really take him because then at number 5, I think you talked about one of those 2 guys going in the top 5. I think Sewell. I would like the Bengals to take Sewell. I hope the Bengals don't decide to reunite Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. I hope they don't do that. I hope they take Sewell as a lineman. If for me personally, in the Bengals situation, I get Jamar Chase. However, I hope they go Sewell so the Dolphins can get Jamar Chase. I'd rather they get him than Pitts. I don't want that. Pitts is good.
You guys need a Waddle or a Devontae Smith, somebody that's committed to football, that's going to play all year round, no matter what's going on. I mean, you didn't want to have to question their mindset or their heart or their dedication to the game. So I don't really understand why you would want Chase on your team.
Because
given all of the
he's the best receiver. He's the best receiver in the draft. Like I said, I just want to answer. I want those questions answered. I want those questions.
You cannot do it two ways, Ken.
No, I didn't. Did I say I didn't want him?
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's why he sat out. And now you're saying that's why I want him.
Listen.
But you just said that for 20 minutes why you don't want this dude.
I didn't say I didn't want him. I said I want.
We need to sit down with you.
We need to have this discussion.
What your commitment to the game is, son. Do you really want to play this game every day?
That's exactly it. Now you know what I'm talking about.
Get out, dude. You're not getting him. You just jinxed them. You're not getting them. You're getting Devontae Smith. You're getting the Heisman Trophy winner.
So listen to the.
You're getting the Alabama Crimson Tide National Championship just because you jinxed them like that.
That's okay because Smith he gets open.
Well then be okay with that.
That's okay, but
you're not getting Chase.
Chase would be probably better.
You're not getting Chase. You're not getting Sewell.
I don't want
poison pilled it on this show.
I don't want Sewell. We drafted 5 linemen last season.
You just poison pilled it on this show. You won't get one of the 2 All Pros of next year.
Call your guy Steven and make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, call your guy Steven. Make sure that doesn't happen. That's all I gotta say. So what I've heard, and I just don't know, and I kind of respect the guy I heard it from, but it just made me sick to my stomach that if the Bengals did take Jamar Chase, Sewell would be available to them, and they would actually consider taking Penei Sewell at the number 6 pick. Or trade that pick and move back and then get to 8 or 9 because if he does take Sewell, that means that Jones is still out there available, right? So if they trade him back to 8 or 9, then they can still get Penei Sewell or Smith, the receiver out of Alabama. I don't want Sewell. I don't want him trading no more. We need to get the receiver at number 6, and we need the running back at number 18. Somebody also said in another mock draft that I saw that they're looking at a defensive end, an edge rusher at number 18. This is making me sick to my stomach. Who's watching these games? Who's looking at the roster? When do you put a running back in this lineup? When do you do this? You let a running back slip right through your fingers when you went and drafted your third pick of number 1 last season. You let a cornerback nobody's heard of. You drafted him at the number 29 pick when the DeAndre Swift, I think, who went to Detroit, was right there waiting for you. I think he had on some orange and green shorts on, ready to board the plane, and you guys didn't. You drafted a cornerback who played 4 games, I think it was last year. I just want to know if they don't. That's how they can mess this up, by drafting Sewell and then getting a defensive player at 18, or moving around, doing some machination like that, and not coming out of this first Thursday, tomorrow evening, with their running back and the receiver. That's how they mess this draft up. What say you, Clevon?
No, after listening to you, Cam, they messed this draft up by drafting Chase or Sewell if they're available.
Yeah, I don't want Sewell. I don't want Sewell.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see.
A lot of people didn't want Anthony Munoz either.
I'm not sure about that. He did drive, but Anthony Munoz.
A lot of people didn't want Walter Jones either. I mean, a lot of people didn't want Jonathan Ogden either. I mean, it just depends,
We drafted 5 linemen last year.
He's not for you, then he's not for you, Cam. Don't worry about it. Do something else. Devontae Smith is there.
We need a running back and receiver. Would you agree?
Get Devontae Smith and then go back and get Sermon. Do something that, man.
Oh, look at you. Now you really
do something like that. I mean, do what you can do, Cam.
Put some poison in the water for real. Sermon. Come on, man. What talking about a one-hit wonder.
You got two Husky running backs down there right now. I don't see what you're complaining about.
Because neither one of those guys, and you know it too. I don't know what you just keep bringing them up because they're Huskies. Neither one of those guys are bell cow. Take it to the house. Phone home to mom. We got a running back. Neither one of those guys are, and you know that. So you can quit having that conversation because you know that already. So what? Chris Paul trying to rough up my guy, huh? Chris Paul trying to rough up my guy. We're not having it, man. We're not having it tonight. Top 5 running backs in this draft. Do you have any argument with Najee Harris being number 1? Travis Etienne, who's a dual threat out of Clemson, dual threat running back. Just these guys' time surprises crap out of me. He plays faster than a 4.4, but they get 4.4 40. Javonte Williams, the 2, and Michael Carter I think they're 3A and B actually. Javonte Williams they're both the kind of identical backs, quicker than fast, compact styles, and tough to tackle. They're both it's hard to tell either one of these guys apart. The running backs for North Carolina. The guys who put up, I think, 600 yards rushing against my Miami Hurricanes. Did you see that last season?
I did. That was brutal.
But it's
reminding me a lot of Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown down there in Auburn that one season. It was brutal. But,
Ronnie Brown ran a 4.3 though. These guys are at 4.5, 4.50.
True. I'm just saying the running back production from 2 people in your backfield, it was kind of devastating.
Yeah, but these guys, I mean, they're good. They're quicker than fast, and that concerns me. So they don't have the breakaway speed. I mean, it's hard to say they don't have the breakaway speed when they ran through Miami the way they did. I think each of them had 200 yards rushing. They both in that single game, each of them had 200 yards rushing. One guy was close to 300 yards. But running a 4.5, like they were quick. They can get through the holes quickly, and they're tough to tackle. That's the best thing about them. They catch it out the backfield, but they just don't have that breakaway speed. So that's top 3 and 4, and then Trey Sermon. He exploded on the scenes in the NCAA playoffs, but he's another guy. You got to ignore ignore the numbers. He ran a 4.62 40. Like Clevon, you probably run a 4.62 today with your bad hip.
4.59. Thanks for asking. But yeah,
there you go. You see exactly what I'm saying. Um, but he did have a big game in the playoffs. So the championship game not so much, but the playoffs he had a big game. So I would shy away from him. He has to be um, a third day pickup. But that's the top 5 backs. So I have them. Is there anybody I missed in there?
no, man, and like you said, Najee Harris, at the top of that list, maybe the Dolphins can get him, and he can replicate that production of Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, and T.J. Yeldon in the league.
Oh, oh, is that where you're gonna go with these guys? Is that Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy? That's where you want to go with it. You ain't right for that one. You was not right for that one, Cleveland.
Just saying.
Oh, what a low blow, man. On that note, fans, we're gonna have to take a break here. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about some NBA topics. Cleveland, I want Cleveland to tell me how what those Wizards did tonight. Did do they play tonight? The Wizards, who they beat? He don't want to talk
Why don't you look it up, Cam? Let me know. We can chit chat about it when we come back from the break, if you like.
Yeah, okay, fam.
If you're so inclined, I have no problem talking about it. It's up to you.
Oh yeah, well you're gonna talk about it. You had no choice.
Okay,
So
well, cool.
you
Let's talk about
you
it
have
then.
no choice. You had no choice
Okay.
but to talk about it.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're gonna talk about the NBA topics. We got a bunch of topics on the roster for you guys. So let's take a little break here, Cleveland. Let me get some breaking interlude music for you guys, fans. Something I'll improve on here in a couple weeks. So Clevon, let's talk about this NBA action. You see the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic go for 39 over the Golden State Warriors?
They definitely were letting out their frustrations of losing to Sacramento previously, out on the Golden State Warriors, and they did not let up for 1 minute. That was an ass whipping.
So any talks of Stephen Curry being the MVP, all that's out the window, right? That's over.
No, that's still quite legitimate, and especially if he leads his team into the playoffs, given what they've been able to go through and the adversity that the Golden State Warriors have had to endure over this season. So no, that he is still a legitimate MVP contender right now.
Well, he's so you want to make him top 6 in the MVP race? Is that what you want to do?
I believe last week that we had him in the top 4, but yeah, sure. At least on my list. I forgot what your list looked like. It was kind of ridiculous, but yeah.
You have him in front of James Harden?
Yes, I did. On my list, I did. On your list, I believe you did not, but that's fine.
See, I don't even. I mean, for some fans want to end the show right now. When you say he's on the MVP list in front of James Harden.
Yes.
Come on, you're crazy. You're out of here. You're out of your mind. Come on. You're out of here. I'm gonna move on here. Celtics lose to the Thunder. 3 losses in a row. They're now 6-4 the last 10 games. 6 seed in the East. Disappointing season. Is this more on Brad Stevens or Danny Ainge? Who would you say?
I think that's a little bit more on Brad Stevens. I think Danny Ainge has given him enough pieces to work with. Considering that this is pretty much the same team that went to the Eastern Conference semifinals last year, or was it even the NBA or the Eastern Conference Finals last year?
No, it was
Um, yeah,
semifinals, but they had some big men. The big men they had are gone. Tice, Tice, they replaced him with
Ty's
Tristan
not making a
Thompson.
difference. What it really comes down to is that Kemba Walker is who we thought he was and not anything more. So he doesn't really bring anything to the Celtics other than volume shooting and, athletic ability, but he's been injured most of his career and quite a bit of the season this year.
So
No
then that
Kyrie
would
Irving, no
Terry Rozier.
Terry Rozier, no
So
Isaiah Thomas. I mean, they don't really have anything to kind of,
so all
hold
of
their
those
hat
three
on.
guys, all three of those guys walked out the door with nothing in return. That you just mentioned, nothing in return for
Correct.
all three of them. That hurts your squad, man. That really hurts your squad. You let Horford, who was about our height. Although he played the hell out of the center position. You let him go down to Philly in your competition. Although he hasn't been a big impact for them, he was a big impact in for you guys for their squad. Nothing
Very
in
true.
return. Nothing in return. I think it's more on Danny Ainge than anything else. I gotta blame Danny Ainge for making these roster moves that he made. And if you just think about it, like 3 or 4 years ago, he's the one who had. It seemed like they was doing the OKC thing, where just rock up all these draft picks, and then now looking back a couple years later, you have nothing to show for it because they don't have the draft picks. Um, now they can't make the trades. All they got is Brown and Tatum and Marcus Smart, and Marcus Smart is kind of over the hill. As you mentioned, you pick up Kimba. Kimba's not giving you the production that you wanted. So what do you have there? You have Brown and Tatum trying to go for 40, 45 every night, and they're not ready for that expectation. So you're kind of in trouble there. I think that's more an Ainge.
Okay.
Who do you credit? See if you give. Who do you credit for the Hawks' recent success? They're 7-3 over the last 10 games, fifth seed in the East, and 20-7 since Nate took over. Trey Young is averaging career highs 25.3 a game, 9 assists a game. Who do you credit for their success?
Oh man, Clint Capella is the dude that makes it happen over there.
Clint
I mean,
Capella,
some of his numbers. I mean, if you just saw the numbers and didn't see the name, you wouldn't think Clint Capella was behind those 22 and 25 and 4 block type nights. I mean, he's doing what much more than they anticipated he was capable of doing, and certainly gives them an anchor there in the middle and allows you know Trey Young to get second shots and have that kind of volume type of success, and basically being the Steph Curry of the Eastern Conference over there. So I give a lot of credit to Clint Capella for that.
Clint Capella, he says, not Trey Young, not Lemon Pepper Lou, not Bogdanovich. Um, wow, he went deep with Clint Capella. In fact, Clint Capella was doing the same things in Houston, like playing with James Harden. He was rebounding, catching lobs, cleaning up the glass. He was doing that thing in Houston, and I don't know why in God's name Houston decided to let him go. Well, excuse me, I know why they let him go. They let him go to let Russell get to the paint, but it didn't really help them in the long run. That's the type of player you don't let go, I would think. Um, but they're climbing, man. They're looking good. I think Nate's done a good job since he went in there. Maybe he recognized, hey, let this Clint get off a little bit. Um, so good job there, Clevon. Yes, the NBA draft was tomorrow. Who'd you draft first? Stephen Curry or Kyrie Irving?
Steph Curry,
Without question.
without question.
Did it have anything to do with you being a round earther?
Yes. That does play a little bit of a contributing factor as to why I would draft Steph Curry. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, I don't totally disagree with you, but that's interesting. The Nets are leading the Eastern Conference. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Did you
I
notice
have
that?
noticed.
The
I have
the
noticed.
Nets are number one in the East. Like, is it time? I mean, last week we've already eliminated any challengers for the Western Conference title. Are we ready to eliminate any challengers for the Eastern Conference title? We just want to say, Adam Silver, let's go to the finals and start in the playoffs. Let's just start the playoffs with the finals. Brooklyn Nets versus Los Angeles Clippers. Are we ready to say that already?
You know, Cam, at present, I am not happy with the way some of the other Eastern Conference teams have been responding to adversity, most notably the Miami Heat. I am not really happy with the way the positioning is going to go down at present, the way it looks in the Eastern Conference. It looks like the Brooklyn Nets path to the NBA Finals is a lot smoother than it was a few weeks ago. But again, you know, the chairs haven't stopped moving, so we don't know exactly what we're gonna see. But at present, the way it's shaking out, their second round match will be the New York Knicks, and that's just not a very formidable opponent. So they basically could get to the Eastern Conference Finals without really playing anybody. So, you know, a lot less wear and tear on Harden and Irving and Durant.
Go ahead and say it. And Durant is back. You see what he's doing.
So, you know, it looks a lot more like smooth sailing than it did previously. and I am sure you're a little bit more robust about your thinking they can just sweep it on through, right?
I think I already told you that.
Okay, beautiful. So that's still on them. Okay.
I said that weeks ago.
That is the only good thing that has come out of that. This whole thing is that is still on the docket, man.
I mean,
sweet.
I said that weeks ago. I'm trying to ask.
Beautiful.
I'm really asking. Have you come around?
And with every day that they're still in first place, you probably feel more and more confident about that. So that's great.
I mean, we didn't need first place for that to happen. I mean, first place was just you know, that's icing on the cake. I thought Philly would be able to hang on that.
Just more opportunity for good eats and good drinks for me. So you know, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Who is your coach of the year so far?
Oh, it would be Glenn Doc Rivers, coach of the year.
Glenn Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Wow. After shitting on him all off season, you want to give him a coach of the year award?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What about Quinn Snyder? You heard of that guy?
Done a great job.
Has his team number one in the West?
Yes, they are at present. I mean, you know, they're barely holding on, but yes, they are.
What about Monty Williams? Monty Williams
done a fantastic job over there in Phoenix. Fantastic.
Yeah, they look like they're about to beat the Clippers right now.
Oh man, play your chin about the floor, man. Come on now, come on, man. Don't be all like that about it.
I mean, the Clippers are. This will be they'll be 2-1 if they lose this game.
This will be their first loss since December the 6th. I understand, but I'm just saying, no, I still think that Glenn Doc Rivers is the coach of the year.
Wow, I wouldn't have went there. He's not even on my list. I got Steve Nash before him.
That's too bad.
Huh?
So that's too bad.
Okay. What about your rookie year?
LaMelo Ball.
Even though he's been out for the last 10 games?
Yep.
Really? Anthony Edwards done nothing to impress you during this time Alonzo Ball's been out.
No, not really.
Tyrese Halliburton has done nothing to impress you. So I think Tyrese Halliburton is shooting 40%, man.
Halliburton is cool. He's cute. But yeah.
Wow. So he's played about 60% of the games, and you ready to give him the rookie of the year?
Yes.
Wow, was that gap was that big, huh?
Gap was that big.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. It'd probably be Anthony Edwards. Halliburton could sneak in there, but I think it's going to be Anthony Edwards. Um, what did you hear? What Doc Rivers had to, or not Doc Rivers? Did you hear what Dr. J had to say this week about his top 10 lists? Or
Enlighten me about Dr.
his
J's words on the top 10.
well, it wasn't top 10. It was his first team and second team. He had Oscar Robertson. You heard of him, right?
I have, yes.
Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. You heard of these guys, right?
Yes.
That's his first team.
Okay.
His second team was Magic, Michael, Bird. He had Karl Malone, the mailman, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on his second list. Not one mention of your guy, either of your guys, Kobe, LeBron, AI. Not one mention of those guys. What do you think of Dr. J's list?
I think it totally makes sense from the perspective that it's coming from Julius Erving. I mean, sports is generational, and it certainly is for him as well. I mean, how Kareem can't be on that first team is a little bit mystifying. How the only 6'9" point guard to ever play, professional basketball is on that list. That's a little odd. You're missing Michael Jeffrey Jordan. That's a little odd. I didn't hear Tim Duncan. But at the same time, Wilt and Bill, how you going to go wrong with that, right?
Right. Elgin,
You,
Jerry West.
Elgin, how you going to go wrong with that? How you going to go, wrong with the walking triple-double, and how you going to go wrong with the NBA logo? So I certainly understand where he's coming from, and having played in, the eras that played against those players, I mean, can do nothing but respect his opinion for it. But as you can see, it's a little bit skewed.
That's from one of the greatest players in ever, one of the most iconic players ever. He didn't even put himself on a list. You don't think he knows the game well enough to disseminate generations?
Cam, I love Dr. J, man. We grew up watching Dr. J. We grew up with the rock the baby to sleep. We grew up with the, how the doctor operates, underneath the basket. But that dude, could he shoot or dribble?
Could he shoot or dribble?
Yeah.
What do you mean? He used to take the ball coast to coast on cats. You forgot all about that. You forgot about.
I'm sorry. Let me reiterate. Did he have handles? Surely he could dribble. I mean, he's Dr. J. That's not what I'm saying, man. But he's not taking you out. He's not taking you out to 20 feet, and he's not crossing over on you.
Listen to this guy. Listen to this. Now you don't want to.
I have a Dr. J jersey hanging in my closet right now.
Listen to this guy.
I wear it religiously.
Listen to this guy.
And I respect his opinion, but just from what you're saying, how inaccurate that is, right?
How inaccurate what? That he went coast to coast?
No, the first team and second team. I mean, it doesn't. You would have to merge that a little bit, right?
No, I'm listening. I'm going with Doc's word at it. Doc knows more basketball than I do. So if you want to say Mr. Triple Doubles.
All right, well, I mean, hey man, if you want to leave Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar off the all-time list, then that's up to you, man.
No, he got him second team. He has him second team.
So I will say it again. If you want to leave Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar off of all NBA first team, that is entirely up to you.
How would you?
Because you were Dr. J, and I do see what your first team kind of looks like, I'll respect it to a point, but just to a point.
Wow. Even this guy shitting on Dr. J. I wouldn't expect that out of you. Mr. Clevon. I expect you to have some reverence for Dr. J.
As I said previously, Cam, I have a Dr. J jersey hanging in my closet right now. Nothing but respect for Julius Winthrop Erving, but If you have a list of all NBA first teamers and it doesn't have Kareem or Michael Jordan on it, there's something wrong with that list.
Okay. All right. So, are you? So no hard feelings with LeBron not being on the list because that's
No
what it
hard
sounds
feelings
like
with
to me.
LeBron not being on it on first
That's
or
what it sounds
second.
like. That's
No
what it
hard
sounds like to
feelings.
me. That's what it
No
sounds
hard
like.
feelings. No hard feelings at all with that.
Okay. All right. Well, Clevon, we're gonna take a little break here, man. When we come back, we'll get to our rankings next week. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about this week in history, man. This segment that's taking the nation by storm. We're gonna talk about the most impactful players in the NFL draft coming up. Then we got some general topics that we're gonna get to. So let's take a break here and we get to these topics here shortly. So congratulations, Mr. Clevon. The Phoenix Suns and Monty Williams upset the Clippers tonight at home, securing their second spot in the Western Conference. Just a little quick word to you guys. Clevon, this week in history, 1847, George Vachon, 428, 1847, became the first black man to enter the New York State Bar. That was 1847. 428, 1971, Clevon, Samuel Lee Gravely appointed as the first black admiral in the U.S. Navy. U.S. Navy history, I should say. Uh, we all know, we heard about Muhammad Ali, 4/28, 1967. He refused induction into the U.S. Army and was stripped of his boxing title for his refusal to fight in the military. 4/29, 1992, one of those days that you have to remember where you was at when the officers were acquitted of Rodney King beating, and then half of LA went up in flames. You had to remember where you were at seeing that on TV, right? Do you recall where you was at the first day of the riots?
I was at home, Cam, on my way to class. So I saw the verdict and then ended up in a very philosophical, very heated discussion amongst college students and professors. It was pretty dramatic.
About the same things that are happening today, right? The same. You
Yes,
guys
the
had the same
police
arguments.
brutality with regards to it being broadcast and continuing to give us content, as we mentioned last week. Yeah, it's unfortunate that a lot of things have not changed since then.
Clevon, that was 30 years ago, bro. 30 years ago. I mean, and it's just wild. We see videos of the police sicking dogs on black folks when they were protesting in North Carolina.
Fire hoses.
Fire hoses. I mean, and we thought that then was like, oh my goodness, look at this, right? But
Right.
that wasn't that long ago. Like our parents lived through that. 30 years ago, we saw with our own two eyes Rodney King get beat by 7 different police officers, and then they were let off. Like they were acquitted of all
Extenuating
charges.
circumstances that would allow for that type of action to be permissible. It's
Like,
terrible.
that was my whole thing. Is like I didn't understand why it took so long. The trial took so long. I didn't understand. I had a me and this white dude. And I was in Georgia. Me and this white dude. He said they're going to get convicted. I said they're not going to get convicted. And I knew we bet on the outcome. Like I knew the results of that. And sure, it was just so. I was so heated, like at work that day. Like I think I took the next day off because it was just atrocious. And just to see the thing I didn't like. I mean, I wasn't in LA at the time, but the thing I didn't like about it is they were literally burning their own neighborhood. Is here in LA, it's not segregated. You can go where you want to go. You can kind of mix and mingle amongst races because it's a melting pot down here. But the blacks are really destroying their own neighborhood versus, I mean, I don't know what the climate was like then, but I know Beverly Hills wasn't letting you get into Beverly Hills. You weren't doing that over in Beverly Hills. You're not going, and not only that's like a little hike. Like you have to have cars. You guys like have to have cars. You have to have gas. It's not down the street to get to Beverly Hills or go to Westwood, the UCLA. That's not down the street. You know what I'm saying? You can go down the street and do some damage, or go a few blocks around the corner and do some damage around your house. But to actually get in the car and get on the freeway, like now you're on a mission, right? That's what it would have taken for you to get out of kind of South Central where a lot of the damage was done. Sadly enough, but there were Long Beach at the time. There was Marina Del Rey at the time, but nothing was going on, and it really happened in downtown, or not downtown, but in South Central, where most of the blacks kind of congregated. It's tragic. Um, but it was crazy that we still having the same discussion, the same exact discussion today that was going on 30 years ago.
Yes.
And then 4/28/2003, Andre Agassi recaptures his number one ranking and become the oldest top ranked male in the history of the ATP at 33 years old. Was Andre Agassi, was he better than McEnroe?
No.
He was not better than McEnroe?
No.
So, but isn't what made McEnroe famous was just the fact that he argued all the time with the refs, with the officials?
That is the most unfortunate thing about the career of John Patrick McEnroe is that his temper completely foreshadowed his talent. He's one of the most talented tennis players that's ever lived, and far more talented than Andre Agassi.
Who had more who had more titles, more Grand Slams?
John McEnroe.
Did he?
Yes.
Who was the guy he couldn't beat? There was some European.
He had a very difficult time beating Yvonne Lindell. His rival was Bjorn Borg, who surprisingly retired kind of at the peak of his career, and McEnroe never really had an opportunity to face someone that kind of pushed him in the same way that Bjorn Borg did. And again, his temper definitely got the best of him and overshadowed a lot of greatness that he could have had. And he wasn't really great at conditioning either. He was just a supremely talented tennis player.
Was he better than Pete Sampras?
No.
All right. So that's our this week in history. Clevon got a chance there to talk some tennis there. Clevon, I asked you about the top 10 or no, top 5 most impactful players in the drafts. Non-quarterbacks, most impactful. And I got Greg Rousseau, the edge rusher out of Miami. As we talked about, if it wasn't for some injuries, he's definitely be in the top 10. Caleb Farley, the press corner out of Virginia Tech, who excels in the man-to-man coverage. Michael Parsons, I left him off our list last week, but an explosive edge rusher, solid tackler, and defensive presence there. This is my list. And then J.C. Horn, another press corner, great aggressive ball skills. So out of my top 5, I got 3 of them are corners because I got Patrick Surtain as a number 1 most impactful player that won't be on the offensive side of the ball. In fact, oddly enough, all these guys are defensive side of the ball, most impactful players. What do you think about this list, and then who would you add?
I like your list, Cam. And the reason that I like your list is because fans, you may or may not recall this. We have actually had this conversation before with regards to what teams covet in the draft. And the 2 positions that teams miss on but covet most often are pass rusher and quarterback. So when you talk about which players are going to have the biggest impact, it will be because of their success or their failure at one of those 2 positions. And so for that reason, I do like Rousseau on your list. I do like Parsons on your list because I feel like they're either going to be everything you thought they were going to be, or they're not going to be quite what you thought they were going to be, and that they will have an impact with regards to where you take them in the draft. Same thing with the quarterback from Alabama. Oh boy, if you take him with the number 3 pick, 1 spot below Mitch Trubisky, and he is not who you think he is going to be, that is going to be impactful for your franchise going forward for several years. Now, who do I think is going to be impactful in a positive direction, or is not a feast or famine player? I think it's a player that's not going to the Dolphins because he just doesn't have that type of motor that you want, Cam. It's a guy named Chase from LSU.
We're gonna hear that. We're gonna hear that all the way through
Oh, man.
next week.
Yeah, April 28th. Yeah, we're going to hear that forever.
Oh my goodness. Um. So yeah. So did I misunderstand you? Did you say Mac is 1 step above Trubisky?
No, what I said was Mitch Trubisky was taken with a number 2 pick, and by all intents, the rumor has it that this Alabama quarterback could quite possibly go number 3. So you saw what happened with Trubisky at 2. The same thing could very well happen with this Alabama quarterback at number 3, in which case he would be the most impactful player in the draft, because look who else they could have drafted, and instead they drafted this dude. So
Do you go with the kid from North Dakota State though?
No.
Trey Lance. Who do you go with that 3?
If it's me, it's Sewell.
For the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to take a quarterback, but if your question is who's the best quarterback to take after Wilson and Lawrence, I mean, I think it's a crapshoot. I don't think anyone really knows. I mean, hopefully one of those guys is kind of okay, but those guys play out here in the NFC West, man. And there's no just some guy playing quarterback out here. You got Wilson, you got Stafford, you got Kyler, and whoever the 49ers want to roll out there.
So you don't think Mac is the answer. You don't think he's the answer. You're comfortable with Jones. We talked about weeks now how Jones isn't the guy. And Trey Lance, I like Trey Lance. I like the potential of Trey Lance. Let me say that. I like the potential of Trey Lance because although they only played in his school, they only had 1 game last season. But as a junior, he had 0 interceptions the whole season. 0, 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Like, that's playing the quarterback position. So he's more closer to Patrick Mahomes than you're going to get. Somebody who can run the ball, somebody who can move around in the pocket, somebody who can throw off his back foot so he can make all the throws kind of in all directions. He's the closest guy you're going to get in that position. So I would like Trey Lance, but if you go with Trey Lance, you're going to keep Jimmy G. He's going to be the quarterback for a bulk of the season next year, and to kind of allow Trey Lance to kind of get into rhythm. What do you think about that?
We'll see which direction they go, Cam. I wouldn't do it personally. I don't see any other quarterbacks after Lawrence and Wilson that would be worth a pick that high. But that's up to the Shanahans. They're giving the Shanahans a little bit too much control once again. So we'll see what happens.
So what do you think about that? The Shanahans having a little too much of control, because I think this Kyle Shanahan, as a head coach, has had one winning season. He's got the next best. He went 13-3. What, last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Outside of that, the best record he's been is 6-10. They went to the Super Bowl. He was the offensive coordinator, so he wasn't the head coach when they went to the Super Bowl, although he's calling plays.
No, he was the head coach when the Niners.
No. I'm not talking about the Niners. I was talking about the Falcons. When he was
never. Okay, so he was the offensive coordinator.
He was the offensive coordinator with the Falcons.
And then he came over to the.
Outside of that,
I mean, with the Falcons, he took the Falcons to the Super Bowl, and then he went over to the Niners.
But outside of that, he was. What has he really? He had 2 Super Bowl seasons, and I guess the last 4 or 5 years. I guess. So that's, I guess, however you shake it out, that's worthy numbers right there. But he wasn't the head coach in Atlanta, right? He was just the offensive coordinator.
Sure.
He was the offensive coordinator in Washington. Did they make the playoffs?
Don't recall them making the playoffs.
So
maybe once, but
so they didn't make the playoffs. Atlanta had this 1 year. Matt Ryan went bonkers, right? And they make the Super Bowl. After that, it was downhill. He goes to San Francisco, and they've been mediocre except for 1 year, where when they run the ball like crazy. Jimmy G is healthy enough and wins 9 games, and they get to the Super Bowl. Is that why you're saying that the Shanahans are getting a little too much respect over there?
No, I mean, you know how the Shanahans operate, Cam. It's always about their system. It's not about the personnel, and they figure that they can plug and play whoever they would like and have the same results. It's that coaching over talent kind of thing. That's what kind of is going on in San Francisco right now. So I'm sure that they feel they can plug in the quarterback from Alabama and have just as much success as Jimmy G. So if that is kind of their philosophy, then I wouldn't be surprised if they take that quarterback, and we'll just have to see how that plays itself out.
Interesting. So they're over. They'll have the philosophy that their coaching makes a difference. That's what you're saying, but you don't like it.
Well, I'm talent over coaching, Cam. You're coaching over talent. So, yeah, we beg to differ on this particular subject.
Again, for what Mac Jones brings to the game, brings to the table, he's a game manager, and he's in the Kirk Cousins mode. I mean, that's not saying he's Kirk Cousins, but he's in that Kirk Cousins mode, just manage the game and make certain throws.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Shanahan's looking for. He's not looking for somebody to get off schedule, to get outside the pocket, to make some big plays. He's not looking for that guy with that second breath gust of wind, if you will, where he's trying to make some plays on his own. He's not looking for that. He's looking for the guy who just when he says the tight end's over the middle, hit the tight, drop back 7 steps and throw it to the tight end, crossing the safety face. He wants you to drop back 7 steps and hit the tight end, crossing the safety face. He don't want you to roll out and let the safety look off the safety and let the tight end get more open. He doesn't want that. And Matt Jones is going to give him that, versus Trey Lance is going to roll out a little bit a few times, or Jones is going to look and try to make another play. He doesn't want that. So I think that's where that fit comes into play. You know what I mean?
That's fine. I mean, that's all he wants is for his quarterback to be serviceable and just kind of do what I tell you to do in a limited kind of
capacity.
Capacity. Then sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you need the number 3 pick in the draft. for someone that can do that, but that's just
Right,
me.
and that's another question: is do they need to move up that high to get him? That's
Not someone that's all you want him to do. I don't think so. I think there's plenty of other quarterbacks if that's all you want him to do. I think Teddy Bridgewater could have done that, and they only
yeah.
had a 6th-round pick for him.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what shakes out. I mean, I know you're not losing any sleep with that being your opponent there, your rival in the NFC West. I know you're not losing any sleep, and you're hoping they go for Brown, but we'll see how it shakes out. Cleveland, this weekend, man, we got the fight you've been anticipating: Andy Ruiz against Chris Arreola, the pre Cinco de Mayo matchup. You want to make a pick in that matchup?
Gonna go Arreola, man.
Are you serious?
Gonna go Arreola.
If Andy Ruiz loses to Arreola, I mean, he might as well give it up. And we got now John Paul knocked somebody else out over the weekend, and now he's signed a contract with Floyd Mayweather. John Paul, Floyd Mayweather, inked in, the ink's been on the paper. They're fighting in June 6th in Miami. You going to Miami for that fight? Are you paying your
I'm
pay per
not
view?
going down to 305, although, under normal circumstances, it probably would be lovely and wonderful. And given the fact that I know how this is going to unfold, I know how the story ends, it would be a lot of fun to go down there and kind of see that exhibition, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss this one.
How do you expect this to unfold?
Floyd with a 3rd-round knockout.
The third round, he says.
And I'm really actually giving that a little bit too long of a fight. I understand that Paul doesn't really understand what he's going up against, and those punches that he just doesn't see coming. The first one might not hit him quite as hard as he anticipated, but the second and third ones will. So
Okay.
yeah.
And yeah, Floyd just finds another opportunity to make about another 10 mil on a fight, huh?
Just for kind of showing up and doing what he does. Yeah. It's kind
Yeah,
of like when he went over to Japan and beat that dude up for $4 million, and less
and
than
they
3 minutes.
and they call that one off, huh?
Yeah. Please stop beating our hero like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, fans, it's that time again. Get the stopwatch going. Clevon talking baseball. All right, Clevon, go.
It's fantastic that the Mariners, have been able to be in first place for a few games. Unfortunately, they have, suffered a few injuries and are kind of working into getting some of their better players kind of,
Injuries, huh?
back into the lineup and up to speed.
Injuries,
So,
I think.
unfortunately, they are not still currently in first place. However, the team in front of them does have the best record in baseball. So you can't be completely upset with regards to kind of the progress of the Seattle Mariners.
That sure didn't last too long. That sure didn't last so long being in first place.
At any rate, anyways, and we're also doing this with our 2 best players still being in the minor leagues, slowly working their way up to the majors. And I definitely do see the upside in this team.
You count on guys in the minor league for their production. That's what you're counting on.
In the same way that Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez were in the minor leagues, eventually they were going to come up and do some
now
things. Right?
now you're comparing these guys in the minor league to Ken Griffey Jr. and A-Rod?
Yes, I am.
Did I just hear you say that?
You did.
No.
I said very similar to Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez when they were in the minor leagues for the Seattle.
Hey, we're live, right? We're live right now. You know that, right? We're live. People are hearing you say this.
So in 3 years, Kalenic and Julio Rodriguez, you're going to be like, wow, he did say that.
Who?
Julio Rodriguez. You might as well get a Julio Rodriguez jersey right now. Save yourself the time.
Julio Rodriguez. I don't think.
And in addition, they have the Rookie of the Year from last year. He was coming off of injury. He's getting healthier. He's getting more swings. He's getting his timing back. It's only a matter of time before the Mariners return to kind of, where they were previously, which is, atop the AL West.
Oh my goodness! Time's up. Time's up. Enough of this. Enough of this talk. I can barely stand it. I can barely stand it. Clevon, you got your Mariner talk in there. Clevon, one, thank you for another fantastic week of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Fans, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we have a lot of segments here. We hit you with Clevon. Let the people know where they can find you on social media, and they can laugh at you with Julio Rodriguez.
Sure. At Clevy Wonder on Twitter and Clevon Steele on Instagram.
This is your man Cam. You can hit me. What's good in sport on Twitter? What's good in the letter N sport singular on Twitter? Voice of Fans on Instagram. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. And also want to give a shout out to the guy for HNB Media TV for supporting the show. Thank you guys for chiming in. I'm about to get these guys on air here in a couple weeks, man, so I can berate those guys for a little bit. But as always, fans, please subscribe to the show. Rate, rate, and review while you're at it. And as always, fans, thank you for making our voice your choice.